Hi, everybody. Welcome to Tuesday. I was going to do this story yesterday, but I wanted to do Wonder Woman yesterday. It was a toss-up. I'm recording them at the same time. So if you like this sort of content, help support this channel. Become a monthly patron, patreon.com/LeannaK. I admit, before I came across this story, I was feeling a bit lost with Twitch. Cyberpunk was an interesting case study, but I think people are kind of over it already. And like downtime, I was playing Satisfactory, but Spider-Man Miles Morales, I got it as a holiday gift and it sucked me in. I thought my issues with Cyberpunk, you may notice that, full AAA games don't thrill me like some people. And so I thought maybe I just had AAA fatigue, but I'm loving Spider-Man Miles Morales. Like, it is just, I called it a charm offensive on Twitter, and some people thought that meant I was saying it was offensive. No, a charm offensive is just you go out of your way to be charming and likable. It's a deliberate thing to sort of bombard someone with charm. That's what it means. And it's adorable, likable charm with a cat named Spider-Man. It was good. I'm enjoying it. And I, as much as I like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, there's certain elements of essentially the same story that obviously a game has more time to do, but I like what they're doing with Prowler better than Into the Spider-Verse. Again, totally different thing. I like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse as well. But I have found a new game I think I want to play for science. I tend to do my best when I'm playing a game for science. And it is a game called Sense, a Cyberpunk Ghost Story. And you will understand fairly quickly, once I show you a picture of this game, why this seems to be in Leanna's wheelhouse. But the controversy surrounding this game, I admit, has me a little bit baffled. But maybe I shouldn't be baffled. And maybe the reason I shouldn't be baffled can be explained by the image. And I'm using Niche Gamer for this just because they have a lovely picture. But here we go. Again, maybe this is why I shouldn't be baffled that people are freaking out that this game came to Nintendo Switch. But it was actually somebody who DM'd me about this game, asked me what I thought of it. Of course, I hadn't heard about the game. I hadn't heard about the controversy. So I looked at it, and of course, it was one of these things where where the developer published the nastiness they got and a statement. And somebody basically asked me what I thought of a statement. They said, does it feel like virtue signaling? I don't know. I understood where the person was coming from, and I'm trying to reframe it, but I'm just going to go. There's a little bit that's cut off, but this was a statement. This was my first exposure to this game. I'd never heard of it before. Whoa, statement regarding censorship demands of Sense, a Cyberpunk Ghost Story. With the recent news of Sense, a Cyberpunk Ghost Story coming to Nintendo Switch, we are aware of a large amount of messages and demands aimed towards the game's console platform release based on lies, claims it is explicitly pornographic or somehow encourages violence, or most ridiculously somehow breaks the law. Furthermore, voices attempted to advocate making sale of the game untenable through demanding harsh censorship aimed towards the developer's arty style. That's cute, arty style. With threats to review bomb the game and or harass its distributors. In addition, we have received death threats from those who feel threatened by what essentially boils down to an aesthetic decision of how pixels are arranged on a screen. While disappointed at these behaviors, we are certainly not surprised. Let us be clear on this. We will not censor the game because of self-centered crowds who care solely about grandstanding. We categorically and absolutely refuse to restrict creative expression. Creators should be allowed freedom to express themselves, particularly when it is an expression of the subcultures they have been immersed in. As a cyberpunk game, Sense uses imagery and themes relating to a future of hyper-commercialized, over-commodified imagery as part of its cyberpunk theme and inspiration. This is reflected in all character designs. With that said, we we expect that this is lost on those attacking the developer for being harmful and somehow inflicting violence and pain. Those who believe words or images inflict violence should perhaps stop spurting their own hateful false rhetoric and also cease condoning death threats to those they disagree with, and so on and so forth. This was bound to happen on the Switch with the sort of clash of branding, with it being the family-friendly Animal Crossing platform and the anti-censorship platform. So this is going to be an interesting test, but it is also on Steam, and it is on sale on Steam. And I'm like, at first I read a review of the game and I'm like, this doesn't sound like my thing. The review talked about how much the character's boobs bounced. It was like ridiculous. But then I watched the trailer on Steam and I was like, this is exactly my thing. And it's interesting how sometimes a description of a game doesn't do justice to what the game actually is, but I'm going to find out. Okay? Because this has me intrigued. And so as of tonight, I will be starting Sense, a Cyberpunk Ghost Story on Twitch. I am prepared for it to be fan servicey and kind of ridiculous, but it's like got old school adventure game elements and it's 2.5D. So I'm like, this looks kind of cool. And it's not that expensive. What is it on Steam right now? It's 25% off on Steam. So it's a whopping, like with tax, probably about $20 Canadian. But yeah, I mean, the publisher, the studio published some of the nastiness it got, and this is what the person on Twitter asked me about. Was it virtue signaling? And I said this reads like a developer that's really hurt by the false accusations against them. And as somebody who's been there, you try to talk a good game. You know, we stand up to censorship and all that stuff because you're trying to insulate yourself against the kicks. But the kicks get through. You know, it's like those little bits of health that take off even when you're blocking in a fighting game. Eventually, if all you do is block, your health bar is just going to get worn down, right? But the minute you try to counter swing, people start going, oh, I'm not sure about that. Unfortunately, there's no winning when you get attacked like this. Yes, the character's boobs are huge. Now, I admit, at first when I saw like the image I just showed you from Niche Gamer, I was like, okay, that I don't like the squiddy boob look. It's just a personal thing. I don't like that look. It looks uncomfortable to me. But then when I watched the actual gameplay visuals, I was like, this isn't as bothersome in context. It's more cartoony and it doesn't look as grotesquely exaggerated in game. But again, Cyberpunk, no saying people wouldn't be grotesquely exaggerated in that regard. I know people down in LA right now who get gigantic implants, right? So I'm going to give this game a try. We'll see how it goes. At least you'll get my, you can decide for yourself if what people are saying about this game is a thing or not. And I'm curious about it. I always find these scandals fascinating because they are either totally arbitrary or they are totally personal. They don't seem organic to me. They always seem like somebody's got some sort of beef with the studio, either just because, they have issues with them, something they didn't like and they never forget it, or there's some kind of personal thing. This studio is so small, though. I don't think it's, did you just assume their gender Cyberpunk, Twitter faux pas thing that just the internet never forgot. I don't agree with that either, but, that's water under the bridge. The problem with Cyberpunk is the game was messy. But, this game, it's a small studio. Okay, there's a lot of fan service. I'll give it a chance because the stuff that they published, I'm like, wow, this is rather vitriolic for a game from like a small studio that's one of these, well, the guy lost his job in the industry and so he decided to make games like, when I saw it was based on like Clock Tower and Fatal Frame, I'm like, all right, I'm intrigued now. Because Clock Tower's a freaking classic in my mind, though it scares the shit out of me. This is a stupid little cartoony game, scares the shit out of me. It's the freaking sounds and the movement and all that stuff. But, yeah, I'm 95% certain that this is what I'm going to be doing on Steam tonight. You have the opportunity to talk me out of it, but I'd like to give it at least one session just because I'm interested. I think that it is a better use of time to actually fire up the game and judge it on its merits than get into a fight over the back and forth, in part because I read somewhere, I don't have the exact quote here now, that the studio itself doesn't want it to become this back and forth of everybody arguing and more people getting harassed. So I think the smartest thing to do in response to this, because obviously this is in my wheelhouse, but at the same time, I want to do something positive. I think playing the game is just the best use of time. So please join me tonight on Twitch, 6 o'clock Eastern time. That's in 7 hours from now if you're watching this video, right when it drops at 11 o'clock. Check it out. Red Leanna K on Twitch. I post Twitch links on my Twitter as well. So if you want to follow me on Twitter and look for the link at around that time, either way, Twitch notifications tend to be a little bit slow. But yeah, I'm gonna give this game a try. Makes sense. Way to ring in 2021 with a game with like fan servicey elements. Okay, everybody, if you like this sort of content and you're interested in sort of, instead of getting down in the muck, just let's get down with the games. Like, let's just judge the games, not the scandal. Help support this channel. Become a monthly patron. Patreon.com/LeannaK. Thanks for watching. Hey, I was surprised by Senran Kagura, right?